What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is April 22nd, 2026, and the market is giving us some absolutely wild action today. We have got a healthcare giant gapping up nearly 7% on massive volume, a semiconductor darling pushing to 52-week highs, a crypto exchange getting crushed, an EV underdog sitting at deeply oversold levels, and a Bitcoin proxy pulling back after a big run. I am breaking down all 5 of these stocks right now, the technicals, the volume, the key levels, and exactly what I think happens next. Let us get into it. Alright, let us start with the biggest mover on our list today and honestly one of the most dramatic single-day recoveries I have seen in the healthcare space in a long time. UnitedHealth Group is up nearly 7% today, sitting at $346 and change, on volume of over 26 million shares. Now here is why that volume number matters. The average daily volume for UNH is just under 11 million shares. That means today we are seeing volume that is 2.38 times the normal average. That is institutional money moving. That is funds and big players taking positions, not retail momentum chasers. Now let us talk technicals because this chart is fascinating. The 20-day simple moving average is at $295.58. The 50-day is at $287.98. UNH is trading significantly above both of those levels, which tells you this stock has broken out in a meaningful way. The 200-day moving average is sitting right at the current price of $346, that is a major technical level, and the fact that price is reclaiming that level today on enormous volume is a very bullish signal. Now the one thing I have to flag here, and I want to be honest with you, is the RSI. The relative strength index right now is at 93.5. That is extraordinarily overbought territory. Anything above 70 is considered overbought, and 93.5 is about as stretched as you will ever see on a large cap stock like this. That tells me while the trend reversal looks powerful, chasing this name today is risky. If you are already in, this is a hold. If you are looking to enter, you want to wait for a pullback and some consolidation. The 52-week high is $438.85, and the 52-week low is $234.60. So we are right in the middle of that range on a recovery move. Key support sits around the $320 to $325 zone where the stock spent time consolidating. Resistance is going to come in around $362, which is the 6-month high. My 3-month price target on UNH is $375, but I want to see this RSI cool off first before adding aggressively. Moving on to our second stock, and this one is moving in the opposite direction. Coinbase Global is down 7.41% today, trading at $195.95. Volume is at 15 million shares against an average of about 12.7 million, giving us a volume ratio of 1.18, so slightly above average volume on a down day. That is not the kind of selling pressure that screams capitulation, but it is definitely meaningful. Let me put the coin chart in context for you. The 52-week high on this name is $444.65. The stock is currently trading at $195. That means coin has lost more than half its value from peak to current levels. Now the 6-month high is $361, so even from just 6 months ago, we are down dramatically. The 6-month low is $141, so price is holding above those lows, but the trend has been ugly. On the technical side, here is what I find interesting. The 20-day SMA is $180.35. The 50-day SMA is $182.12. Current price at $195 is sitting above both of those moving averages, which actually gives a little cushion before we hit real technical damage. The 200-day moving average is right at current price, $195, so similar to UNH, the 200-day is a critical battleground level. The RSI on coin is 64.5, which is approaching overbought but not there yet. It is in a neutral to mildly bullish range technically. The issue with coin today is that the catalyst appears to be broader crypto market sentiment and profit-taking after a recovery from those lows near 141. If Bitcoin has a rough day or if there is regulatory noise, coin is going to feel it amplified. Support I am watching is that $180 zone where both the 20 and 50-day moving averages converge. If that level breaks with conviction, we could see a test of the 160 to 165 area. Resistance above is 225 and then 250. My 3-month target on coin is 225, contingent on crypto market stability. Alright, let us talk about Lucid Group. This one is up 5.33% today at $7.11, and the volume is elevated at nearly 47.3 million shares versus an average of about 36 million. Volume ratio of 1.31, that is above average, which is notable on a day when the stock is bouncing. But let me give you the full picture here, because LCID is what I would call a deeply distressed momentum name. The 52-week high on this stock is $33.70. It is currently trading at 7.11. That is a decline of nearly 79% from the 52-week high. The 6-month high was $18.65, and the 6-month low was $6.75. Today's price is just barely off those multi-year lows. Now the RSI here is where it gets interesting from a contrarian standpoint. RSI is sitting at 27.3, which is deeply oversold. Anything below 30 is considered oversold territory, and 27 is a level where you start to see mean reversion bounces. The 20-day SMA is at $8.90, and the 50-day SMA is at $9.63. So price is well below both of those moving averages, which confirms the downtrend. LCID has no positive PE ratio, meaning it is not profitable, which adds a layer of fundamental risk. This is a speculative play, pure and simple. The question for traders is whether the oversold RSI and the bounce off 52-week lows creates a short-term trading opportunity. For long-term investors, the fundamental story remains challenging given competition in the EV space and ongoing cash burn. My support level is right at 6.75, the 52-week low. If that breaks, there is very little technical support below. Resistance is at 8.90 where the 20-day SMA sits. My 3-month target is $9, which is essentially a retest of moving average resistance, but I want to be clear, this is a speculative bounce target only. Next up is Strategy Inc., formerly known as MicroStrategy. This is the company that made Bitcoin accumulation its entire corporate identity. MSTR is down 4% today at $163.97, on volume of 22 million shares, slightly below its average of 25.6 million. Volume ratio of 0.86 tells us this is actually a low conviction down day. Sellers are not stampeding for the exits. Let me walk you through the technical setup because it is actually quite constructive despite today's decline. The 20-day simple moving average is at $136.20. The 50-day is at $135.46. MSTR at 163 is sitting a solid 20% above both of those key moving averages. That is a stock with significant upside momentum built into its base. The RSI at 77.5 is overbought, but it has been running hot for a while. In momentum names like MSTR that are driven by Bitcoin price action, RSI can stay elevated longer than traditional metrics would suggest. The 52-week high is $457.22, and the 52-week low is $104.17. We are currently about 64% off the highs, which shows how violent the pullback from peak was, but also up nearly 58% from the 52-week low. For MSTR, the key variable is always Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is having a down day, MSTR goes down harder. If Bitcoin rips, MSTR amplifies that move. The 6-month high was $295.63, so there is a lot of room between here and there before we get back to recent peak levels. Support on MSTR I am watching is $145, which is just above the 20-day and 50-day moving average cluster. A pullback to that zone would actually be a very healthy reset and potentially a better entry. Resistance is at $200, that is a psychological round number and also near the mid-range of the 6-month trading band. My 3-month target is $200, assuming Bitcoin holds its broader trend. And we are saving one of the most exciting charts on the board for last. Advanced Micro Devices AMD is up 3.47% today, trading at $284.49, which is essentially at a 52-week high. The 52-week high is $287.61. We are within 1% of that level right now. Volume is 38.8 million shares against an average of 39.7 million, so basically in line with average, which actually means this breakout attempt is not being driven by unusual speculative volume. It is steady, consistent buying. The technical picture on AMD is one of the strongest on our entire watchlist today. The 20-day SMA is at $234.50. The 50-day SMA is at $215.30. AMD is trading 21% above its 20-day and 32% above its 50-day moving average. That is extraordinary momentum. The stock has made an almost straight-line run from the 6-month low of $190.95 to current levels near $285 and what appears to be a powerful AI and semiconductor-driven rally. Now the RSI, and I have to be straight with you here, the RSI on AMD is 96.1. That is the highest RSI reading on our entire list today. In fact, an RSI of 96 on a large cap like AMD is one of the most overbought readings you will see. This does not mean sell immediately, but it absolutely means do not chase. In my experience, stocks with RSI readings this extreme almost always see a meaningful pullback before the next leg higher. The P/E ratio of 108 times earnings reflects the premium the market is willing to pay for AMD's exposure to AI infrastructure, data center GPUs, and the continued semiconductor supercycle. The market cap is $463 billion, making this one of the largest companies on our list today. If AMD can close above 287 and confirm a 52-week high breakout on strong volume, the next target zone is 310 to 315. But given the RSI at 96, I would be looking for a pullback to the 255 to 260 range as a much better risk-reward entry point. My 3-month price target is 310, but patience is key. Support is at 260, resistance at 287 and change, the current 52-week high. And that is your complete breakdown of the top 5 stocks for April 22, 2026. To recap quickly, UNH is a powerful recovery but RSI says wait for a pullback. AMD is at 52-week highs with incredible momentum but also extremely overbought at RSI 96. Coin is holding key moving average support around 180. LCID is a deeply oversold speculative bounce candidate only, and MSTR is pulling back in a healthy way above its key moving averages. If you found this analysis valuable, please hit that like button right now, it genuinely helps more people find the channel. Subscribe so you never miss a daily market breakdown, and drop in the comments which stock you are watching most closely today. I will see you tomorrow with fresh analysis. Stay sharp, manage your risk, and trade smart.